نحمد ونصلي على رسول الكريم أما بعد بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to today's session of the Wayfarer's Path, in which we talk about how to live life as an active Muslim in an increasingly discordant world. Um, so today's topic, again by popular demand, immensely popular demand, surprisingly popular demand, though by this time it's becoming kind of evident that Muslims are craving practical solutions, right? It's all well and nice. It's critical to talk about esoteric, highly meaningful, no doubt, topics such as other towards the Mashayikh, what is tasawwuf, what is tazkiyah, the sciences of spirituality. Definitely, that is something that every Salik, every Muslim yearns to understand. But in this day and age where confusion is rife, I think it's becoming quite clear there is this hunger that how can we live lives practically as Muslims? And when we say that live life practically as Muslims, how can we live our life, whether it's eating, sleeping, or our relationship with our community, with our family, our neighbors, our friends? How can these be completely intertwined, completely in the light of the Sunnah and the Quran and the Sunnah, the ways of our Nabi Kareem Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, the ways of the Sahaba, the ways of our Tabaeen, Tabaeen, the Mashayikh, the Mashayikh and the Ulama. And when I mention all of these names, titles, positions, I need to talk about the same thing essentially, right? Because they all are there to hunger. They all have this hunger too, and their intention is to follow the Sunnah of Nabi Kareem Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, so that we may get to Allah Subhanahu wa Taala. And that is everyone's who is joining, every Muslim's purpose, right? And the reason we've been put on this earth to get to Allah Subhanahu wa Taala. So, as our Shaykh Hamayuni, Hazrat Shaykh Hamayuni, Damat Katum Ali, is often at pains, insistent to point out that look, your namaz, roza, zakat, hajj, critical, foundational, but perhaps 1, 2, 3, 4, 5% of your daily life. But the remaining 95% are those practical actions that you do in light of the Sunnah of the Nabi Kareem Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. Now, I'm going to show you a video of um, uh, something which I think will orient this discussion um, perfectly, right? So the topic of today's conversation is strategies for losing weight and gaining strength the Muslim way, right? As an active Muslim. So allow me to share this video with you. Sorry, let me just full screen now, but it's full screen. Yeah, okay, alhamdulillah. Okay, let's share this. Yes, I think it's showing now. Now, this is your boy. Let's see, can I? That was 25 push-ups to the Ummah al-Muslimin, punching out 25 push-ups for the Ummah al-Muslimin, right? Now look, you're seeing that video over there. Part of it was just to bragging rights, to show off about how I pulled off 25 push-ups. Shocking. I don't accept that. How it transpired was just simply I was with my department. We were out at a dinner, and one thing led to another, ribbing each other, making fun of each other. Nice, sometimes not nice, but it came at one point where a challenge was positive, friendly challenge to see how many push-ups could be churned out, right? And Alhamdulillah, your boy over here pushed out 25 push-ups, did Pakistan's uh, name, gave Roshan to it, Alhamdulillah, and pulled out 25 muscles. So much so that so I was shocked. Even I wasn't expecting that to pull out 25 muscles, to push out 25 push-ups. I had not done this for years, and I think the maximum record was maybe like 20, right? And I could have squeezed out probably three, four more over here. But the point I'm trying to say is that this is the result. You want to see the outcome. It's a video in a nice setting, but there's a lot of work that went behind it, right? And the good news is not so difficult work, just some consistency, inconsistent, consistent. Anyhow, uh, and laced with the Sunnah, which is why I think, Alhamdulillah, after months of steady effort, um, lots of ups, some downs, culminated into this push-up session, 25 push-up session, which Alhamdulillah I featured and dominated uh, the friends. So yeah, 25 push-ups for the Ummah, right? So look, so on a just a serious note, these do not come from nowhere. Uh, and the surprise element is there, definitely pleasant surprise. Allah will show you results so you do not expect it from even. Allah will show you sort of results that you do not expect even. If you put in the effort, if you put in the effort, and with the lens of following the Sunnah of Nabi Kareem Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. Because of the training of our Shaykh, Shaykh Hamaini ibn Ali, every we've been taught, we've been trained, and we follow it to the best extent of our abilities possible to do everything in light of the Sunnah, not just the action, but even the niyyah, the heart, the intention behind it. Just a little mindset change, a little mind shift, a little heart shift, in which every action, every good action, is done with the intention that Nabi Kareem Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam did this, said this, and therefore I am doing it with that purpose. You will commit the same action, but the outcome will be manifold improved. The outcome will be manifold blessed, right? Because Allah, there is no restriction on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He can do anything. And these 25 push-ups were clear evidence that Allah can indeed do anything, pushing out 25 push-ups from these initially scrawny arms to the extent where even I'm shocked, super shocked. So, um, so when I was talking about the Sunnah, right? What do I mean by this? What were some of the sunnats that were driving me forward that culminated in this successful push-up session? So first of all, for the longest time, I've been hearing this that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala prefers, loves the Mafhum, loves the stronger believer over the weak believer. Right? So there was always this intention, pushed by my Shaykh, inspired by my Shaykh, that you know what, and it was a personal desire also, but again, this mind shift, this heart shift, that I'm gonna do it because it pleases Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that He likes strong believers over weak believers. And what do I have to add or give to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? What action have I ever done for Allah that is it feels silly to say this, that is worthy of even atom's worth in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's shan, his magnificence, his majesty. But in spite of this shortcoming, this just adding this element of the niyat, of the intention, that I'm doing this action because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala loves it. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala loves the strong believer or the weak believer. Therefore, I'm going to commit to becoming that strong believer because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala likes it, loves it, loves the strong believer. And the armies of Imam Mahdi alayhi salam will require strong believers. And if you're not strong, you're not going to be able to ride that horse and carry that spear. So there's that. Then secondly, Nabi Kareem Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, active Muslim, practical Muslim, a Muslim who is not just a Muslim in the mosque, but a Muslim who is active in who is a Muslim in every facet of his life. And exercise is one facet that is really pushed in Islam, is really pushed by Nabi Kareem Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. And how do we know this? Aap Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam did wrestling. He wrestled. It's a mafhum. You should check the sources. You should reach out to the ulama, confer with the ulama to get the full to get the maximum length and breadth possible of this sunnah. You'll be blessed by it also due to the niyat that I want to come closer to Nabi Kareem Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, to his sunnah. And in that pathway, in that journey, not only will you get what you wanted to from that action itself, but also be blessed, drenched in the blessings. You'll be drenched in the blessings of Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala's attention, His love, and the sunnah of Nabi Kareem Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. So wrestling was something that Nabi Kareem Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. There is at least one incident I've been told of in which he wrestled someone to the ground. Archery, horse riding. This is something that I really, 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 really look forward to carrying forward and pushing my kids towards it also. And swimming. I really appreciate how my father took me and my brother from a very young age to do swimming, and to the extent where just a few days ago I was exploring a new gym membership, and they have a swimming pool downstairs, and the strong uh, smell of chlorine hit my nostrils, and it was a very pleasant reaction. It evoked a lot of pleasant memories, and swimming is something that I love. In any case, the point I'm trying to make over here is that Nabi Kareem Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam highly encouraged physical activities: horse riding, swimming, wrestling, archery. These all are endorsed by Nabi Kareem Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, right? And the larger point over here is to be an active Muslim, to be a strong Muslim, to be a worthy Muslim, to be a Muslim who contributes towards society, and most importantly, if not only importantly, to follow the sunnah of the Nabi Kareem Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. So that's the second sunnah, right? Strong believer versus weak believer, and then uh, uh, encouraging sports, right? Practical Muslim. These are all practical aspects that I'm touching upon. Then you also know about how the stomach is um, the vehicle, it's a mafhum, of diseases, most diseases, if not all diseases. So while most of this bayan will be about gaining muscle, sorry, a little bit of losing weight, and much less about losing weight, clickbait. Um, uh, the more focus is on muscle gain and less on that, because yeah, losing weight is pretty straightforward. You'll see. So, but inshallah, it's something to combine the both so that you can lose weight and gain muscle also. I hope some of the tips that I've learned and I share with you that they be of use to you. But the third sunnah that one third uh, water, one third food, one third air, right? The idea being that the stomach is the vehicle for most diseases, if not all diseases, that one should not eat to fill. In fact, our Shaykh, as a tactic of encouraging the diminishing intake of food, he encourages stopping just at the last morsel, the last bite, which is very hard. I don't think I've done it in months, if not years. I just go full throttle ahead with eating. Eating is one of my favorite hobbies. It's the act of eating and not necessarily the food itself. But anyhow, I've kind of found a way around it also, even though my waist is expanded, but for some good reasons. The bad ones, inshallah, I'll be working on and sharing with you also. So, yeah, the to round up this encompassing facet feature of uh, the sunnah, right? That in every topic that we've been talking about, the focus of this fakir, the attempt of this fakir has been to underlay it with the the structure of the sunnah, right? That everything that we do should be with the intention of the sunnah. That every action that we take, we should do actions, we should be active, but with the niyat of how does the sunnah feed into this, and putting in the niyat, that mind shift, that heart shift, that momentary shift that eventually, inshallah, becomes permanent. That everything I'm doing over here is for the sake of getting close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala through the emulation of Nabi Kareem sallallahu alaihi wasallam. In this case, we're talking about exercise. We're talking about maintaining a healthy weight. We're talking about losing weight, all with the niyat, interspread, underlaid overarched through the Sunnah of the Nabi Kareem sallallahu alaihi wasallam, right? So, before I move to the main topic, which is actually gaining muscles, yeah, losing weight, it's a relatively straightforward. Just eat less, right? Eat less. Easier said than done. Much easier said than done. I think I've only done it once or maybe twice in my life, where I lost 4 or 5 kgs. So I'm not going to talk too much about it because your boy over here has not had too many successful examples. But I do have a way around it a little bit, if you will, which I'll explain to you in the course of this remaining. In the course of this remaining bayan, this remaining lecture. So, how about if I told you that instead of losing weight, you could actually gain weight? So that means eating more, just better stuff, healthier stuff, yummier stuff, more protein focused stuff with carbohydrates and less fat, not going without it. Okay, these diets, these fads, these extreme fashions, which keep coming and going about. Look, you need to have a balanced diet. Of course, it depends upon your specific situation. In some cases, people are morbidly obese, right? And I don't mean this in an insulting sort of way. I mean it in the medical term sort of way. And they have something to do. They need to do something about it, right? Some people are chronically underweight or anorexic. Something needs to be done around that, right? But overall, by and large, exception proves the rule, as our Sheikh Saab often says, that a balanced diet is of critical importance, right? But what if I told you that unless you are like on the extreme ends of the spectrum, and we'll touch upon that also, that you could actually maintain your diet with some tweaks, and if paired, especially with strength training, you can have your cake, make your cake, and eat all of it too, however that saying goes, right? So then, because that's what I do, right? So in October, mid-October, I've had for this, I decided to join this gym, and I didn't do gymming. This is very important. I have been for the longest time. Subhanallah, how critically it shows how critically important reading books is. I read this book by Nassim Taleb called Anti-Fragile, and he spoke about how, and yeah, I'm not going into the specifics of it, but long story short, he suggested that strength training, right? Strength training, introducing small shocks to the system, uh, that's anti-fragile, right? To make the body anti-fragile. The whole point of anti-fragile is that shocks improve the strength in the system, right? You have fragile systems, resilient systems, and you have anti-fragile systems. Fragile systems and shocks tear them apart. Those are fragile systems. Um, Resilient systems are systems that you can subject to shock, but they're brittle. Where I could be saying this wrong, but I'm 80% there. Uh, but um, but when you subject it to a certain shock beyond tolerance level, the thing falls apart, right? The system falls apart. And then there's anti-fragile, which is that shocks make the system strong, make the system stronger. The system learns, the system grows, and one of that anti-fragile system that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created is your body, your muscular system, your bone, your skeletal system. And the idea over here is that through strength training in certain core exercises, you through progressive overload, increasing the weight that you carry through these certain exercises, 3, 4 exercises, strength training exercises, that your body becomes anti-fragile, right? Your By these introduction of these shocks, your body, your muscles, your skeletal system becomes stronger. Your bone mass grows, your muscle mass grows, and and I'm living proof of that through those 25 push-ups I showed you for the Ummah Muslimin, 25 push-ups for the Ummah Muslimin, that were the combination of this strength training program that I started in October. So I wanted to do for a long time. I read about it, and I started following the starting strength training method. And the idea of it is, and it's a very simple, straightforward, traditional approach towards exercise. No fancy gimmicks, no fads, no 800 variations of a certain body movement, no CrossFit, no no rubbish. Just straight to the point. Squat, deadlift, overhead press, bench press, and eventually when you get good at this, you do a power clean, or rather when you start hitting the tolerance levels, or you can't recover enough from the deadlift or certain of these from the deadlift, then you switch to a power clean, which increases your explosive strength and with pull-ups, and then maybe as you become more advanced builder, you start doing some variations of this exercise, which I'm not even close to. I'm just what they call a novice. I'm a novice linear program. I'm a novice. Um, but most of the immediate gains, most of the proportion of the gains come during this initial phase, right? So subhanallah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave me the ability to start this, and like I said, to make the cake and eat it too, whereby I just started eating a lot of meat, like a lot. And people started being funny, not funny. But anyhow, my intent was clear. I needed to become stronger. So I had done this sometime before, also, I think like 2 or 3 years back, but things have become a bit expensive, which I'll touch on also because this solution is not for everyone. You need money for this. So if you have money, and you're saying you're very blessed, make use of it, eat lots of meat, join a gym. And the good news is you don't have to do all these fancy schmancy machines and gimmicks. All you have to do is use four core exercises. I highly suggest buying the Starting Strength book. Sorry, if you have the patience to read through it. It's very technical, but the YouTube website of theirs is also excellent. Um, uh, in on the podcast, lots of cursing for unnecessary reasons. Even there's lots of nuggets of gold in there to give you knowledge on how to increase your strength. But I won't refrain from it, but just be careful. But their training videos are great for teaching on how these four core exercises, 5 to 6 core exercises, can help you become a very, very strong person very quickly, and then step by step, as obviously diminishing returns set in, then you decide how you want to progress. But my plan, inshallah, is over the next 2 to 3 years to really become strong as possible. And then because I'm a person of novelty, probably shifting towards these other exercises. It's always been my dream uh, to become a good horse rider, a good wrestler. So maybe, inshallah, I'll jump over to these. But after trying to maximize my strength as much as possible, right? So these are the four core exercises, and I'll tell you also why you'll enjoy this a lot, right? So what I really noticed was that I want that it's not monotonous. The exercises seem monotonous, but you see a lot of progress, right? So I'm the sort of person who likes to see the number going up. Okay, in this case, the weight that I'm picking up, right? You see immediate results, and meaningful results, right? And often as human beings, you want to see that, right? It's not in every sphere of life, but you need to at least have some sphere or some facet of your life in which you can at least see that progress, right? Look, I understand that as mothers, as fathers, as students, you see the results. As as professionals, you don't see the immediate results, or you don't see regular results, right? So you need to find something. One way you can counter that is by joining or partaking in some regular activity in which you see those steady gains, right? And for me, strength training, and I learned a lot. I like that observation was quite revealing for me, in that seeing those steady gains um, really helped me to keep going. right? In fact, so much so, a slight counter thing started happening where, because I was actually in a rush to start raising my number as much as possible. I wanted to get to the 100 kg squat as soon as possible, and I almost failed at the 100 kg squat. I'll just come to your question, Hamza. It's a very good question. uh, the 100 kg squat, right? And it came to the point where I was rushing it so much. Uh, so initially, when you start this exercise, you do 5 kgs, 5 kgs, 5 kgs. It's very easy to make the jump, like to increase the weight, right? But obviously, there's diminishing returns. So it started coming down to 2.5 kgs and 2 kgs, 1 kg. But I wanted to get to the 100 kg. So I reached the 100 kg, but oh my God, um, it was so difficult that I was scared to go back. You know, that's actually an amazing thing. Another thing that this exercise will teach you to face your fears and to surmount them. Anyhow, so I was facing this problem, and I go Sheikh Saab, and Sheikh Saab said, "Slow and steady wins the race," right? And now I'm at 120, 110 maybe, through step by step, progressive overload. Anyhow, my point is that you need something in life to be able to show to yourself that you're making progress, right? Of course, Alhamdulillah, like in Muraqabah, right? You might feel that you can't see those immediate results, perhaps, even though there is exponential change that's happening in your life, which you cannot witness because you can't compare yourself 5 years ago, 10 years ago, um, how you felt, how you thought, how you acted. If you were to be able to compare yourself, you would indeed see this vast improvement. But that's not possible. So I'm just using as an analogy. Please don't stop with Muraqabah, talking to myself. But this strength training was really something that I looked forward to. It was a character building exercise. Again, I suspect really because the Niyyah was there to become a strong believer. Right? It was really there. Alhamdulillah, because of the teachings of my Shaykh, the training of my Shaykh. And I think that really was the secret sauce to making this such a learning exercise, no pun intended. So what was the approaches that I used, right? Hamza Bhai is saying he struggles with yo-yo. Just so first of all, again, if you're joining the gym, if your intention is to increase your strength, which I encourage for everyone, fathers, mothers, professionals, and we come to also the caveats, especially mothers, uh, uh, mothers with newborns, what they can do. But so starting small, for me, Alhamdulillah, I was really blessed because there was a gym just down the road. So, and there was a much fancier gym just slightly a bit more up the road, which I'm exploring now. But I told myself, I'm not going to go to the fancy gym. I'm going to go to this one, this basic one. It's cheap. It was cheaper also, but I'm going to make things as easy for myself as possible and start as small as possible. Build up that imperfect consistency. It was very imperfect, but I would keep it. I would keep it start small. And the beauty of the starting strength method was that I just had to commit to 3 days a week. And often I would just do two. But I would just go, like I would just commit to it, like at least 2 days a week I would go. And these 4 exercises, 5 exercises, I would commit to them, right? And I would log them, I would sometimes even video them just to see uh, how I was progressing and what my form was. Um, so just starting small, starting really, really small, right? So I made sure the gym was close by. Also, I didn't do cardio. Okay, everyone's like, you got to do cardio. You got to do this. Everyone, there's as many opinions as there are people, and they don't mean badly, but you got to just filter that out, right? Especially the gym coaches, like they see you doing a squat in a certain way that they have not learned, then they judge you pretty badly. So, but you have to resist all of that. Stay focused and start small. Don't do too many things. One day cardio, and then one day starting strength, and one day swimming, and then 4 hours. No, no, no. I spend maximum 1 hour per gym session, 2 or 3 days a week, right? for I think it was maximum 5 months, 4 months, 5 months, with lots with like uh, uh, maybe 1 or 2 periods in between, or like 1 to 3 weeks, maybe 1 2 weeks, maybe in between, where I was demotivated, or this yo-yo that we're talking about was there. Uh, so there was that was there. It was inconsistent consistency, but nonetheless, I just was like committed that okay, I'm just going to focus on strength training, no cardio, no extra stuff, no junk, just cardio. Sorry, just strength training, and making sure that I ate enough around. Not even ate enough around it. Even with the eating, I kept it really simple. 2 burgers in the morning, source of much laughter at my work. 2 burgers in the afternoon, source of even more laughter at my work. And in the evening, and all prepared by my blessed wife. May Allah bless her. And in the evening, like a steak, chicken steak piece, and like some rice and some uh, mashed potatoes, sweet potatoes. And even that was inconsistent, right? There were days where I would not have the 4 burgers, or I would have a bad meal. My weekends were terrible. I'd be eating lots of junk. Okay, um, doing like all sorts of bad shenanigans with my body. But nonetheless, I wasn't too hard on myself. I was just like, all right, I'm starting small, but I'm going to commit to doing at least 2 to 3 days of strength training, 1 day a week. Sorry, 3 times a week. Uh, at 2 to 3 times a week, consistently, relatively, making sure I'm going, eating, just getting, 50, 60% of the variables right? Just keeping it at that, ignoring all the noise, not being too harsh on myself, but just, going. So starting small and then starting simple, right? So I mentioned already the diet and exercise. Diet kept it really simple, focus on the proteins, make sure that I just get that right? Because there's too much to think, all right? There's too much going on. So you gotta start small, you gotta start simple, and just ignore all the noise. And exercise also, like I told you, I just focused on strength training, not cardio. I didn't do any walks, okay? I didn't do any aerobics, I didn't do any swimming. I would just warm up. And the way I would warm up, I wouldn't even stretch. The way I would warm up would be just to start with a really light load, then, step by step, build 20 kgs, 20 kgs, 20 kgs, 20 kgs, or 10, 10, 10 like this before initially, when I had lighter weight. And in fact, when I first started, very foolishly, I just went straight to uh, the max weight. But then I learned. So start simple. And yeah, like I said, don't complicate it. The other flip side is don't complicate it. Don't get all your macros right and your carbs right and like measure your calorific intake. Just forget about all that stuff. Yeah. More extreme cases, we'll just come to that. But by and large, for 90% of the population, just keep it really simple, keep it really straightforward. Just commit to two to three things maximum, get that right, and then 6 months down the line, improve it, right? And you'll start seeing massive changes very quickly, right? Even your diet will start improving in the sense that where you're just like, man, do I really want to eat stuff? Because I have these goals which would fall apart on weekends for me. But I'm working on my weekends a lot now. Uh, yeah, and again, this I can't emphasize enough. Keep it natural. Please don't work the machine in the gym. Um, those machines don't mimic natural movement. Those machines are boring. They're monotonous. They cause more injuries apparently. None of what I'm saying is like backed up by my going and delving into the science. I'm quoting a lot of the starting strength uh, analysis on this. Maybe it's bro science, but what I do know for sure is that every time I've gone to the gym and I try to do those machines, I just I'm just dying of boredom, right? But when I was doing this stuff, man, loved it, total convert. So you just keep it natural. I just stay away from those machines. Just those four core exercises, build up initially fast, then slower, and then when you get to the intermediate level, then we'll discuss that later on. But you can see a lot of gains over 3, 4, 5 months, 4, 5, 6 months, right? Where I was squatting 120 or 100. Hold on, I can just maybe actually share with you also. I can share with you actually very nice stuff. It's uh, wait, just bear with me. Here, it's called training goals. Okay, so my friends, this is my progress, or this is the maximum. This is the lifting log. Okay, and you can see it now. Yeah, squat 50, get 110. Sorry, 110. So my body weight also went up. That's what I wanted to achieve. I wanted to get my body weight up. See, I told you you could have your cake and make your cake and eat it all too. The idea is that your body weight is going up, your strength increases, and because you're eating more, but that weight gain, sure, some of it is fat, but a lot of it is muscle, right? And ideally, you want to maximize that so that your strength increases as a greater proportion of your total body weight through number of muscles, right? So started with squat, went up to 110, awesome. And you can see I started in October and my last one was February, right? So October, November, December, January, February, 5 months. October, November, December, January, February, 5 months. Okay. And what you can see is here was the point where I wanted to be a hero at like 100. And I kind of stopped this week because I was just scared to go back to the gym. See, and you can see I like plateaued for like three sessions. So that excitement I was talking about. And then here's the bench press, which is bench press is not my favorite, but yeah, it's there. I can prove that. Overhead press, I love. I don't do a good job of it. Here you can see at 42.5 I reached. It's quite something to see two 10 kg barbell, like on the barbell, two 10 kg weights on each side. But then I was lifting it up, my arm started oscillating, so I need to get professional help on that. But the main professional help I'll probably get, suggestion I'll get is that go slower. See, I was making these big jumps, unnecessarily big jumps. And now I've plateaued at 35. Sorry, do something about it. Deadlift, which was also my favorite, but yeah, I've gone to 115. And here also I've stalled, right? It's slipping from my hand, there's all sorts of problems, etc. But anyhow, this is my target, right? This is where I want to get to for all of these. In powerlifting, I haven't started. I'm lazy all over the place, but in any case, you're getting my point, right? You're getting my point that keep it simple, don't go to the machines, start small, progressive overload, focus on a few things, and enjoy. Just enjoy it, okay? Have fun. And I think this is a sort of exercise that really gives you that sort of fun, okay? So the reference is the starting strength method by Mark Rippetoe. I highly recommend checking their channel out and hopefully benefiting from it. And here's a comment that needs to be made because why are Muslims not doing this? Why are Muslims not using Sunnah methods to, you know, practically implement the ways of the Sunnah, yeah, the ways of the Sunnah so that we may benefit from it practically, right? So it's a starting strength method by Mark Rippetoe. Funny guy, unnecessarily gross, but still make use of it. Um, so yeah, caveats. I mentioned already a couple. If you're obese, then you probably have to do like a recomposition. Okay. Again, I think there's some good points with these resources in Mark Ripeto's starting strength method. He has a very good blog, and I think maybe that can help you out. Uh, Taking the example, if you're like obese or mothers, right? So mothers, I understand, have probably the toughest time. Yeah, I don't know if you have a space, maybe you can ask, reach out to someone that, you know, once or 3 times a week, 1.5 hour. Hopefully, if you have wealth, because a lot of people who come in this channel have reasonably good amount of wealth. Because the third point I was going to say was poor people. Poor people, I'm sorry. I mean, I don't mean this in jest, but I can understand how none of this stuff is probably for poor people, those who can't afford it. A lot of people are going through a lot of troubling situation. But don't worry, inshallah, Allah judges you by niyyat. Just make your niyyat that I want to be strong for the sake of Allah. And I think that will be 99.999% of the job done. For the remaining of you well-off people, this is for you, okay? That spend that cash, set up a home gym if you want to, right? So make it simple. And this method is very simple. These 4 5 exercises just require one frame, right? And a seat and a barbell and these weights. That's it, which can be set up in your room. I highly recommend it. I highly, highly, highly recommend it. That just get this basic setup, put a rubber mat on the floor, and get to it. Okay. Uh, and get to it. And for mothers, um, for those mothers who have the space, who have the people around them. For those who don't, just be patient. Inshallah, time will come soon where you'll be able to do this. But for those living in Pakistan and with families whose husbands are there, uh, to tell them, okay, yo, Mr. Husband, 1 hour every 2 days or 3 times a week for 1 hour, you got to watch over the kids, hear the instructions. I'm going to the gym. You'll feel really good about yourself. Okay, it'll help you become a better, you're awesome mothers, but we physically become stronger. When I can pick my kids up, like it's pretty amazing for a really long time. My umrah was much better because I could pick my kids. I can pick stuff up now where I'm shocked. Where this other guy, this poor guy, once I told him to help lift my 70 kg bag. Uh, the poor guy, he said yes to it. He was at one end, I was at the other end. I had no problem picking it up, and that poor guy was just struggling, and he seemed to have a finer toned body than me. But man, the poor guy, he almost collapsed. I gave him some money at the end, don't worry. But I was shocked. So I'm just saying, Alhamdulillah, that you really see meaningful improvements in your life, and you'll see it as a mother also. You'll have more strength, right? So the benefits, which you can come now that you're stronger, my back doesn't hurt anymore, even though I still slouch like a sloth, but still uh, on my office chair. But still, Alhamdulillah, my the back pain I would have like 10 years ago because of when I was unemployed and sitting just scrolling in bed or reading books in a really bad contorted position, I would get massive back pain, twisted back pain every few weeks or months. Um, and I've never had alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah since, especially this strength training. In fact, at one point I did bad technique for squatting and I was scared to go back and I consulted the resources of starting strength and they're like, listen, you gotta go through that pain, right? You just gotta fix your technique. And I was like, no, I just gotta lay off. I gotta lay off the exercise for a while. And they were like, no, 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 just go through it. And within 1 or 2 sessions, that pain was gone, right? Because I fixed the form, the muscles went through inflammation. I don't know the exact process that happened. I think it was inflammation, and that forced the body to get better, anti-fragile. Allah's made our body anti-fragile. In fact, I've had this arm pain for the longest time, and that's not the fault of the exercise. Exercise just brought it out. That look, you have this bad muscular system over here. Um, I don't know how I sprained it, but inshallah, when I get back to the gym, I'm going to start doing pull-ups. There's a very nice technique of how to stop arm pain, elbow pain, uh, tennis elbow, golfer's elbow. It worked. Like I did it for some time. I had to do it consistently, but I didn't. I just did it for one session. The pain went away. So I'm saying that a lot of the pain, your muscular pain, skeletal pain, probably will go away. I told you about the push-ups that I did for the Ummatul Muslimin, 25 push-ups. I belted out, dedicated to the Ummah. My endurance is improved, alhamdulillah, and of course, as I mentioned, the lifting. So, oh, well over time. So what if you struggle? So just to the questions, Brother Hamza has a point that what if you struggle with yo-yos, a period where you are very disciplined but you mess it up. Staying consistent just seems too difficult. Request for du'as. Brother, I'll do the du'as, but through these techniques, so just keep it as simple as possible. I don't know what you're doing, but I suspect you're doing very complicated 18 different types of exercises, and you're doing like CrossFit, and you're doing like, I suspect. And my suggestion is based on my experience, for whatever it's worth. Okay, so to each their own. Everyone's trying hard. Very easy for me, based on my experience, to try to blanket suggest it to everyone and to somehow convince you that it will work. But I still strongly believe, strongly suspect that keeping it simple, keeping it easy, not complicating it will make it much easier, right? And this technique, I think, is very simple, very straightforward. Just focus on your strength, building your strength. Maybe in your case, if weight is also an issue, maybe consult more technical this thing. Um, but uh, stop being too hard on yourself. Just keep it, be easy on yourself. You're falling down, get up. I mean, this is part of our life and tasawwuf also. Forget about physical exercises, spiritual exercises. We keep falling off the cliff, right? I'm speaking for myself over here. So, but you just get up and you just continue. I haven't done my this exercise, this fabled exercises for like since the beginning of Ramadan, right? It's what, 2 months already? Wow, time flies. But I'm gonna get back to it. I'm already like I've applied for the membership, but it's a discounted membership, so I'm waiting for an answer from my company. But I'm getting to it, and then I'll slowly, crawl back towards it, and hopefully make those steady steps. So, just it's fine, man. Don't worry too much about it. Just get to it. Being inconsistently consistent is also okay. So, yeah, I guess that's it. Jazakallah so much for joining. Salikas, Salikin, Saleks, Salikas, and for this session on strategies for losing weight and gaining muscle the Muslim way. Until next week, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.